Hello there, it is Legatua, and today we've got something a little bit different for you. I've been commentating a lot of my own games for the last couple of videos, the last many videos, and today we're going to be taking a look at a game that I'm not a part of because this game has been sitting in my backlog for a very long time, and I'd always thought that I wanted to make a video about this game, but due to various things happening, being busy, 3 concurrent tournaments going on, it just never happened until now. But I managed to find a free night to sit down and try and record something, so we're going to get right into this one. This is going to be Jaklyman versus Black Mantis, and it's from the Smacky Cup 3 round 4, and I actually did a video on this map covering this round, but it was very focused on the Jess versus Sammy matchup, and also I didn't really have a proper game in that tournament because my opponent timed out after a couple of turns due to, I think, non-game related reasons. So this game should be substantially more interesting to cover than that video, and that also means that we don't even need to do a map review of this map because it's covered in that other video. So I'll leave a link in the description if you really want to check out the map review of Settles Stillwater V3. But I have a feeling that you're more interested in getting into this game, so let's just hop right into it. We've got a Jess mirror, which is something that you're likely to see a lot of on this map. You definitely see Jake as well, but a lot of Jess mirrors basically are going to be happening on this map. And let's get this underway. We will be following Jaklyman's perspective in this replay. And Jaklyman is player 2, and player 2 has a little bit of a dilemma. There is kind of the classic day 3 recon FTA issue on this map where player 2 has to try and coin flip to get this property with a normal opener, and they're kind of coin flipping whether their opponent is going to go day 3 recon. If their opponent goes day 3 recon and player 2 goes for the city here that I've circled, then it ends pretty badly. But the opposite is not true, because even if player 2 goes day 3 recon, player 1 can still get this city without the possibility of harass arriving in time. So it's a little bit obnoxious for player 2. So let's see what Jaklyman does, and if he's willing to go for the greedy and more efficient capture route on this map. I guess we won't know for a couple more turns, but that's the first real decision point on this map is how aggressive are you going to be. Okay, not seeing anything particularly crazy so far. Sending this infantry up to there, and we do have a day 3 recon from Jaklyman. So the player 2 day 3 recon, not quite as good as the player 1 version, but still a nice thing to do on this map. You get the roads that can take you to this area very quickly, and then the idea here with the day 3 recon is that you're wanting to limit especially captures on this group of cities here, especially this one, and you'd like to get some harass in on this one. And this missile silo is a very good place for recons to end up in harass. So gonna be a very offensive build. And in Jess mirror, Jess is one of those. This mirror matchup is one of those matchups that is very swingy. It's kind of like a knife fight, and it's very challenging to play because if you go early recon harass and you run into early tanks and you get recons hit, it can end up being really bad, and you could end up getting really far behind just purely based on the rock paper scissors. And then there's not a whole lot of outplay opportunities. A lot of times things just kind of come down to who has more stuff. So we'll see how that turns out, but thankfully, I'm not playing this matchup because I know this one's a tough one. So standard opening stuff. This infantry now can kind of jumpstart this capture chain over here, and then this guy potentially could go for this city, or could go down here and try to go for this city as well. Let's see what happens next turn. Interesting. So this recon being here sees this property. If player one is going with the most, like, I guess technically like aggressive capture route, then there should be an infantry capping this city already, but there's not. So that's interesting. That's probably pretty good, because that means that this recon is more likely to have a chance of successful harass. With this map, it's always awkward trying to capture this city because you need that port to load stuff to be able to capture stuff up here, but it is one infantry move away from the base. So whenever you're capturing this, you're not able to basically fare units up there. So it's a pretty good time to capture it, though. It's pretty standard. And it looks like this lander is going to be pulling units out of this base, or this port rather, for next turn. So that's kind of a nice capture order, because this port now is going to be freed up, and this infantry can move off on the same turn that this lander is going to arrive here to be able to load more units in. So well-constructed opener by Jaklyman. Does elect to go for the safer capture route. Wow, okay, this is very, very safe. So this is playing hard around the day 3 recon. So I was thinking maybe even this infantry could come down to here and then go here. But this is Jaklyman basically saying, I don't want to take any damage from a day 3 recon, so I'm just going to play it as safe as possible. And by taking this, I don't think it can get interrupted, because the day 3 recon would be here, but then it's out of vision. So even though it could, I think, reach 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, even though the recon could technically reach this square, it doesn't actually have the vision to see the capture, so that it can't interrupt it. And another early recon. So it looks like there's going to be a lot of recon pressure being put down here. And that can be good, but you also have to worry about early tank builds. You can reinforce tanks to this area very quickly, and especially in the early game when you only have enough money for one vehicle buy per turn, you can kind of get shut down if you kind of lose the rock, paper, scissors and go early aggro into a very defensive build. You're not going to be able to get much damage done. Okay, first tank on the field. I'm imagining that this is going to end up going to this lander, and then it's going to be kind of hard harass down here, and then starting to build up some defense up here so that we can get to these properties, and especially this property later on. Recon comes up here. Okay, this is interesting. So it looks like this property got captured first, and then the infantry went to this city. That's not the most standard capture line, but okay. Now we'll see if this infantry actually goes for the city here. I'm not sure what this recon is hoping to see by being positioned here. Because if this infantry goes onto the city, it's going to see the recon. And so that makes the opportunity of harass much more dangerous. Maybe he's hoping to see any unloads, but I'm not sure that that would actually work, because the unloads happen like here. So anyway, I'm not sure about that. Let's see what goes down. Oops. Okay, so this infantry does get harassed, and this has to be a day 3 recon, I believe. So it looks like there's kind of dual day 3 recons for both sides. And that's actually nice to know for Jaklyman, because now this recon kind of has free reign to go in and try and harass, knowing that I think this is a day 3 recon. Here, we're gonna cheat a little bit, and we're gonna verify this. Oops. Yeah, so it is a day 3 recon. So I thought it had to be based on the timing that it arrived, but I didn't want to feed misinformation because it's been a while since I did all the opener calculations on this map. Okay, so that's kind of annoying that this infantry can't really continue on to here, but at the same time, Jaklyman has played as defensively with the capture routes as possible. So this is basically like the least amount of damage that you can take. Additionally, the tank is set up to arrive here next turn. That will pretty much stop the harass, although it's also not going to kill the recon, because the recon is going to see anything that's going to get dropped off by this lander. So the recon will have the opportunity to run away, most likely. This looks like a replay viewer bug. Okay, there we go. I was like, I know these cities have been captured. All right. Wow. So this infantry retreats all the way back. So that is really defensive. So I think both players are really expecting day 3 recons from each other. I do think player 2 is not really as obligated to go day 3 recon as player 1 is. So, but regardless, it's a pretty good read from Black Mantis. So, well done. Definitely has the right idea. Ooh. Ooh, that's spooky. Yeah, I don't think this is a good idea. I don't know what being on this tile accomplishes that is better than being in this forest. Yeah. Because you know that the infantry kind of went this way, so you've kind of managed to lock down this area already. So I feel like putting this recon here is just a mistake. And in the event that this infantry is probably going here, it might work out. This tank might not have vision, but this is, I think, needlessly risky. So tank gets dropped off here, so this recon can't really do anything. Artillery is up next. I think this is a really good time for an artillery. You never want the artillery too early, but you never want it too late either. Okay, so this recon's going to get away scot-free, and the tank is going to manage to completely avoid vision of the recon, so that's a fortunate break for Jaklyman, but at the same time, I don't really think there's going to be any possibility of harass down here. I think the play is just to kind of pull back, see if you can, you want to get this tile, or this city rather. I guess you might even just try to go for this city. Yeah. Yeah, so even if a recon like gets dropped off here, it's not going to see. So I don't think this tank can interrupt a capture on this city. But both of these cities are good to have. And this is kind of the price of the day 3 recon, right? Like, you've got very few infantry in this direction. It's just this one guy. And there's like all these opportunities that you want to be able to take advantage of. And this day 3 recon is not going to be able to do anything, I don't think. Okay, so recon runs away to kind of deny the center area. So kind of mirrored builds. Not really hugely successful day 3 recon builds for either player. So it kind of cancels out. Got some chip damage on this infantry, but it's unlikely to be significant in the long run. Boy. I just don't know about this. Like, why? I don't know why the recon is on the road. So you gotta be really careful about this when you're Jess, because recons on roads are one-shottable by tanks. And I do think you need a comm tower to get the one-shot, so it's not likely to get one-shot. But even then, like, recon on recon violence is still a thing. Oh, I see now. I should hold my tongue. Yeah, this gives vision to see the recon. Wow, what a genius move by Jaklyman. Although you still could have put it like anywhere else, right? Like, were there other options? Eh. All right, I need to figure out if this is actually an issue or whether I'm just being really sloppy in my analysis here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so all this is in 3 tank move range. Okay, you know what? I take it all back. I think this is fine. So that actually is pretty nice. This second recon kind of catches this this recon with his hand in the cookie jar, and you get a little free tank hit. Just got to make sure not to give it right back on the other front. It's probably okay, because what's going to be the unit that gives vision inside this this forest? Seems fine, I think. Also prevents the tank from going in on that square, which is probably what Black Mantis might be planning. And a T-copter, okay. T-copters are pretty good as Jess, especially on this map. The T-copters are going to get refueled by Jess's powers, and that's going to help ferry infantry kind of across this terrain, which is pretty bad for Jess. The only downside with the T-copter is that you're kind of committing to making infantry, and a lot of times on this map, this can be a 3-vehicle map for many turns, especially as Jess. And if you're building 3 vehicles a turn, then you're not building infantry, and it's going to be hard to get some value out of the T-copter later on, but definitely not bad. We do have to be careful now, though, because we built this artillery, and now we're also building a T-copter. So for this stage of the game, we're kind of under-tanked, so to speak. So we don't really want to have any big engagements happen for like the next 4 turns or so before we start to be in position with this artillery and we start to get more tanks on the board. So that's actually a nice block with the recon there. And getting vision of this tile means that when the lander comes back, we should be able to see one of the units that gets unloaded there. So really nice play, which is an infantry. So if there's a vehicle, it's here, and be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so even if so there still could be a second tank here. We can't discount that. And if it's a recon too, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so even though we only see an infantry, we can't assume that we can stay here. And obviously with the tank there, we're probably going to be moving back. Okay. Yeah, so we're safe from the tank because this is enough moves away. I just get anytime I see recons on roads in a Jess mirror, it just makes me a little bit nervous. Yeah, so it's safe there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so it should be fine. Where did the recon go last turn? I wasn't paying attention. Sure, he disappeared. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so the recon's in here almost certainly. Yeah, unfortunately, we can't do anything about that because both the recon and the tank can make it to this square, but they can't make it to any of the other squares. And I think getting back into the forest is far enough that we don't really want to be chasing it. Okay, some more capture stuff. This is kind of a nice opportunity to potentially consolidate and kind of move everything together here for maybe a push down here. Although the problem is we kind of are already winning here. So we don't really need to like push here. That's too far. I don't know if we're realistically going to be able to put any pressure on the comm tower either. Let's see how this develops. Okay, so gonna stay split up here. Okay, nice little boosties. Interestingly, not going for the capture here. Just going to be conceding that. Now that would be a capture like right in the face of the recon that's here, so I definitely don't mind that. I think that's pretty wise to not go too aggressively. And then that tank stays out of vision of the recon in the woods. See if anything else shows up. Oh. This looks like bait. This looks like bait. This looks like there's either an artillery here or an artillery here. That is such a random place to put a 3 HP recon. It's begging to get attacked. So I would definitely make sure that we get vision of this area before we consider going in on this recon. Okay, so we see a tank here. So definitely setting up for a tank counterattack at the very least. But we are going to get the full hit on this infantry here, taking it down to 4. And since it's down to 4, it's going to take forever to complete this capture, so that's pretty good. And also the recon ends up on high defense terrain. Yeah, I like this. Using the infantry to take it out. Got a nice roll on it as well so that the counterattack didn't do any damage to the infantry. I think that this is a much safer idea than trying to go in with the tank. Because I think it's very likely that there's an artillery there waiting. I'm going to be blocking this. I don't know. I guess we're still thinking the tank's down here. One thing that is a little bit spooky is that we are a little bit... We're a little bit split up. So you see, like, we got a lot of stuff kind of down here. It's almost like half and half. Like, got half stuff here and half the stuff there. I do think it'd be wise to maybe try and consolidate this a little bit. to have a better idea of where we're strong. Because right now, like, it's kind of hard to know where it's safe to attack and where we need to play defensive because we're kind of split 50-50. Lots of tanks. Another artillery. Yeah, this is challenging. You kind of... Having this another artillery would be really great on this side, but we can't get it into this lander very easily because we're using this back lander here. I don't really think there's anything necessarily to be done about that, but it's just a kind of unfortunate consequence of the map design. So we see the lander is going to be unloading more stuff. And so these these infantry are going to pay the price for finishing off that recon, that's for sure. Now, interestingly enough, so this guy is going to get a 2 HP counterattack onto the recon. That doesn't necessarily seem like it's a huge deal, but the roll for a tank against a recon on planes for Jess is 91 to 99. So actually that 2 HP of chip damage on the recon could potentially enable this to be a one-shot for a tank. Yeah, and so this is kind of the danger of going in for the harass here. We definitely get a clear idea of where Black Mantis thinks he's strong, right? This is a very aggressive capture. This recon that was here sees both of the tanks here, and yet he still sent in the infantry. So do you think that Black Mantis is scared of these 2 tanks? Well, obviously not. So it seems like probably what is happening is this is the strong side for Black Mantis, where Black Mantis has been committing most of the resources. This tank is going to try and get rid of this recon, but then probably going to shift over here as well to consolidate. That's my guess, at least. This is a brave recon. Yeah. All right. All right. I don't think this was necessary. I think if you're going to do this, you need to also have a way to clear this infantry off so that you can just take out the tank entirely. Now, that's very dangerous because it's very easy for there to be an artillery here or here. So putting something on this square is very risky, potentially. And for that reason, I'm not sure that it's great to initiate this fight. I think this could end up going really badly, and especially now this recon's here. Like, if there's like 3 or 4 tanks in this area, then these 2 units could get totally wiped out. And yeah, you do have 2 tanks coming, but they're far away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these tanks can't support us in a fight over here this turn. Let's see what the damage is. Wow. Okay. Really getting picked apart up here. Okay, so doesn't bother capping, just mostly playing to clear off the infantry. Another tank goes in. What was that? Oh, I missed it. That was just an infantry. So infantry is going to start capping here. Okay, so it does look like, yeah, we've got the tanks kind of shifting up here. It's good information provided by this recon. Ooh, I don't love that. I don't love that join cap. I think it's too early for stuff like that, in my opinion. Infantry as Jess are really really vital. And I mean, what are the odds that this infantry is gonna not get attacked this following turn? Given that there's a 2 HP tank, there's a 3 HP recon, there's an infantry here. Like, what are the odds that nothing goes in here? So, I kind of don't like that a lot. Wow, a Neotank. And look at how much money we have left. What the heck? What did we buy last turn? Anti-air recon infantry. Holy smokes, we're saving 8.5k. All right. A lot of money. Whoops, we went too far. Okay, so we got Neotank. I do like this though. So this is how you want to do it. If you're going to tech as Jess on this map, you want the Neotank to get dropped over here because this is like your fastest reinforcement front. And generally when you tech, you want it to be from whatever base is closest to the fighting. Provides good opportunity. So as expected, this guy gets interrupted. But now it's like a 1-for-1 infantry trade, right? Because you already gave away one of your infantry just by join capping. Okay, so we're kind of chaining tanks back and forth here. It's okay. I think Jaklyman is lucky that that last turn didn't go worse. I think there was the potential for a lot more tanks to be hiding in the fog than actually showed up there. And it was also very easy for there to be like an artillery in here, which could have hit the recon as well. T-copter really handy though. This city's under a lot of pressure, but we're able to reinforce infantry to this side pretty consistently due to the T-copter, and that allows the lander to really focus on just pumping vehicles to this front. Because you're really only getting one vehicle to that front per turn, because that's the throughput of the lander. So if that's the only way you're getting units up there, then you're going to get infantry starved pretty quickly. More anti-airs. Anti-airs as Jess are really critical. Not only are they good against air units, which is no surprise, but critically, anti-airs as Jess can one-shot infantry in trees or in forests, and that can matter a lot. Being able to remove infantry from a forest with one move or one attack allows you to avoid putting units potentially in very vulnerable positions. For example, if there's an infantry in here, then you only need to control these two tiles to clear it off and then put your own unit inside here. If you need a third unit, then it would have to go on one of these two tiles, which is very vulnerable. So having the anti-air is very good for that, and it's just a good thing to have as a utility unit, even if there aren't any air units showing up, which you're likely to not see a ton of in a Jess mirror. So this is a nice harass up here, by Black Mantis, forcing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I don't like this. So we know the Recon's here, right? Both of these tanks are just in the Recon range. And what this, by showing these two tanks here, it kind of gives the green light for Black Mantis to attack more aggressively over here, knowing that these tanks are kind of cut off from the rest of the force here. So we continue the tank chaining. So yeah, so that's exactly what I was talking about. So now if we end up with a tank on here, which is exactly what we do end up with. Although this is not the, I don't know. It's not super great to end up with a 7 HP tank on here. 7 HP tanks as Jess in a Jess mirror are super liabilities because they're good on attack, but they're in that range where they can very easily get one shot by other tanks, especially when we're in turbocharge range. So they're basically just low enough that your opponent can be really efficient attacking them. I don't know if this was the right place to put him. Turbocharge might one-shot that Recon in the forest. I'm going to check that, actually. Okay, upon further review, it's a roll. It can. So let's say like Recon comes here and tank comes here to hit the Recon. So it's like a 30 to 40% chance of one-shotting the Recon in the wood. So it's a little dicey. I don't really think. So this is an interesting turn for Jaklyman because there's a lot of stuff here. A lot of really good targets for a turbocharge. But these two tanks being here, in my opinion, and also these artillery being, they're just not part of the fight, I do not think Jaklyman can attack this turn. Jaklyman needs to wait for this Neotank to get in position, and then the time you want to power is when you reveal your tech units. That's like the ideal situation. So you get this Neotank like over here, right? And then next turn you turbocharge once there's a tank in range. And then you hopefully get a pick off and you put your opponent in a tough spot where they really need to counterattack, but they're fighting into your tech unit that's arrived really, really quickly, and so maybe they're not prepared to deal with that. This is a very, very passive place for an artillery. I don't love this copter positioning either. I think it's just better if it's a little further back, and I don't think there's no benefit from it being this far forward, right? Like it can cover everything already. Anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. What is this artillery doing here? I feel like there were better places for this artillery to go, because as Black Mantis, you can afford to position this a little bit more aggressively, knowing that there's these two tanks over here that basically can't fight. So the odds of you getting turbocharged and getting like totally busted, like this wall busted through, really unlikely to happen, especially unlikely to happen for your opponent to bust through here and then also have enough to still hit this artillery. So I think that this is too passive. I guess it's, you know, you're saying, well, I'll defend this tank because this tank is kind of vulnerable, but I don't know. I think it would be fine to put the artillery here on this plains. It's just really unlikely that anything is gonna bust this, given what we've seen. At the very least, you should probably cover this city. I think like here could be a good spot for it. Here could be a good spot. Anyway. Now we're getting ready for the big fight. This artillery has been pretty useless the whole game. It does seem like Black Mantis has just decided to handshake this, and we're gonna have a staring contest. I might have liked to see this artillery kind of shift over earlier because it's been sitting there for a long time, but I can understand that maybe there, I mean, artillery here would be really good to like lock this city. Okay. It's very patient engagement. Another artillery. Wow, this is a lot of artillery. 3 is where you're starting to get into like I don't know. It's and look at all this money, like 5, almost 6K left over. So it very easily could have been a tank. It could have been another anti-air. I mean, looking at this copter, like I think another anti-air would possibly be pretty valuable, and definitely another tank. Okay, this is very aggressive. Yeah, tank, or recon on roads. That's and next to a city, like that's just free. That's too easy. And yeah, this one as well, totally free. So now that's 2 recons gone with very little hope of counterattack. This, I don't know about that. Okay, I like, this is good copter usage. Even though it's going to get picked off, you can kind of live with this. But if you're going to do this, artillery's got to be covering this. Got to be covering this copter, and this is actually really scary because, like, all right, I like this part. Got to be careful about overextending into a super. We're looking at the superpower here, so this stuff is a little bit overextendy, although this stuff is also not very valuable. But this next turn, okay, this, come on. There's no universe in which this can work. Okay, now the question is, do we super here? The problem is if we don't super, we are likely to get supered first, which is really, really not going to be comfortable. So I think you probably have to. But, I mean, look at like this. It's not great, is it? Like, these tanks, like, can we really fight this very easily? I mean, I guess, like, these guys, but, you know, all this is on high defense terrain. It's not great. Yeah, you're always doing that. The Recon sees the Neotank as well. Okay. Yeah. That is probably where that artillery needs to go, although I don't know about the second infantry. I don't know if the second infantry really needed to go in there. I think you can just spend one infantry if you're going to do that. Boy. I really wish that this artillery had gone in this forest, because at least then you're covering one of the tiles that can hit your anti-air, and you know this anti-air is going to get smashed next turn. So there's a chance that there's going to be a tank that ends up here. But yeah, so now it is entirely possible for Black Mantis to super here. I don't think there was a chance for Jaklyman to have a reasonable super, though. So I think this is a pretty well-constructed turn, given what Jaklyman had available. If you look at the stats, yeah, pretty reasonable. But this turn could get really nasty. This is definitely a hold on to your butts turn, because anytime Jess can just let that super go, and you don't really know like how big of a death ball Jess has, it's quite spooky. Looking for the power and leading off with an infantry cap. Okay. Wow. It's really going for the infantry superiority here. Yeah, see, I told you you put the artillery here, it's really good. Put the artillery there, it's really good. I feel very vindicated. And if you're wondering, like, I did not watch this replay back before I commentated on this. Like, I haven't gone through this replay, like, I'm pretty sure since the replay came out. So I'm basically going into this blind. So I'm not able to give you wisdom gleaned from the replay in advance. Now that's kind of weird. We're not going to take out this with the artillery, so I guess we want to move the artillery. So this artillery can already cover this tank. So this guy... Yowza. All right. Well, that's pretty bad for Jaklyman. That is pretty brutal. I mean, that's what happens. Like if you're not winning, and then your opponent gets the first power. Yeah. How oh oh ouch. Ouch. Okay, but we didn't see a Neotank though. We do have an anti-air to clear off the copter. So that, I mean, it's not... The infantry situation is alarming. Really alarming. It's not a good situation. The overall army value situation, well, it's not that bad. So if we kind of look back a little bit. So we do see, like, I haven't really pointed this out up until now, but this city, and this city, Jaklyman has had all those cities the entire time. So Jaklyman has had an income lead up until this point. I don't know if Black Mantis has taken this city in the corner. So it's possible that it's only a 2K income lead, but it's day 15. Jaklyman has had maybe like a 2K income lead for the last 4-ish turns. So that's not nothing. So as we kind of go back into the present turn. So even though Jaklyman took a beating there, the army value might not be super lopsided, but the infantry count it's a problem. This is one of the trickiest things to do as Jess, to do this correctly. You really do need to mix in some air units as Jess. We've got the T-copter, but that's the only air unit that Jaklyman has made so far this game. If you don't mix in any air units, then sometimes you can run into issues where you just you fall behind on infantry, and then you have situations like this where, like, look at all this stuff that you got to interrupt. And you're going to interrupt it with what infantry? You've got these two guys down here, but then you're going to have infantry interrupting these into cities, into a power already. And then, this is already pretty bad. So this is kind of the Jess death spiral a little bit, where you lose your infantry and then you lose your ability to contest cities. And you're sending vehicles into cities, which then get counterattacked by vehicles, and then you're dead. So anyway, at least we got a Neotank, though. Let's see how this plays out. So this guy, at least, is... So this artillery... So I guess both artilleries are going to end up getting value. So that is good. I still think it would have been better here, because you would have gotten a turbocharge hit on a tank on a road, which would be... I mean, that's mega value. Yeah, in this situation, it wouldn't quite be a one-shot because Black Mantis has the power up, so it gets the defense. But if there's no power, then a turbocharged artillery hitting a tank on a road is likely to one-shot it. So would have been pretty nuts. We got the medium tank, the classy boy. I don't hate it. You need to find some way to stabilize up here. Wow, okay, so it looks like we're just giving up this city. Oof, that feels terrible. That's... Honestly, I love that. I love this artillery positioning. Super sick. I haven't been, like, totally on board with the artillery positioning so far this game, but that's, like, chef's kiss. Love it. Because it covers this city. I mean, actually, I would expect, something to show up here rather than here. But hey, all's well that ends well. Probably obligated to attack this with the weak tank, maybe. And I do get the copter, so that is nice. So even though, like, it looked pretty bad, and it still looks very bad in terms of KD, but in terms of, like, the actual damage dealt, losing those 2 copters as Black Mantis has kind of equalized the army value a little bit. And this Neotank is yet to act, by the way. So Neotank just eats a tank for free. Yeah, artillery's going to take some damage, but that's fine. Yeah, so this is a good amount of tech from Jaklyman, and this is the correct deploys as well. You don't need more tech at this point. Your ability to fight is purely based on the amount of just like vehicles that can shoot stuff, which means you need to be tank spamming as much as possible. This side is totally lost, unfortunately. If there's like a recon down here, it's going to be even more bloody. But 2 cities get captured here. And this is the advantage of having the first power. Now, Black Mantis getting charged, Jaklyman not getting charged. Another join cap. I mean, it's more plausible than the previous one. Oof, yeah, so tank shows up down here. So the infantry situation in this part of the map is really not great. Okay. All right. I'll buy it. I think this is okay, actually. I think the join cap is a little bit questionable, but the fact that you can clear all this stuff up, and then now this infantry has to knock this guy down to 2, or you have to send in a vehicle. Although I guess this artillery is going to clear off this infantry. So I guess 2 things can hit this guy. The big problem is, what about this Neotank? I don't know about this. Okay, I do like the recon coming in here. You need to see what you're about to fight into. Unfortunately, this artillery not going to really be able to get much more value here. And it does seem like Black Mantis is trying to like rotate away from the Neotank. But you need to know, like, you really need this Neotank to be eating tanks almost every turn in order to make up the value that you're missing out from having 2 more attacking units. Because instead of this Neotank, you could have bought like 2 more tanks, right? Or I guess 3 tanks instead of the Neotank. So the Neotank is your ability to help equalize the unit count because it's going to be chomping down a tank every turn. But if you want to fight with the Neotank, you need to know where the artillery are. And it's always risky because if you're attacking, like, for example, this tank, then your Neotank is here. What happens, or even if it's like here, right? Then what happens if Black Mantis shows up with a Neotank and a turbocharge next turn? Then things can swing really hard against you. That's why Jess mirrors are such a knife fight. So much depends on the tech unit engagements. And if you are first striking other Neotanks with powers up on bad terrain, then you know with your own tech units, you can do a tremendous amount of damage in terms of unit value with just a few engagements. So things can swing really, really hard. Okay. Could have hit that with the artillery, I guess, but maybe we want to reposition the artillery. It's a pretty good roll on the infantry. I'm not going to bother looking up whether that was a roll or not. Definitely could be likely because I think that infantry took a full infantry attack already. So it was probably chipped down pretty hard. Doesn't feel great to have all these units attacking into this artillery range, though. Okay, this is a very defensive artillery placement, but I'm fine with that. Okay, so good. Medium tank, just out of range of any vision. And unfortunately, yeah, like this is... It's a good play by Black Mantis to try and like disengage here. Because Black Mantis is kind of accomplished what he wants to. He's going to get this property, it looks like. And once you got that property, I mean, I think this is the income lead for Black Mantis. Having flipped this property and now this one. Likely to be an income lead. Yo. What? I mean, you got a lot of artillery. Mechs have good synergy with artillery. But you're Jess. I just feel if you got enough money to blow on mechs, find a way to mix in more copters. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, we're more tech units now. Another medium tank. Black Mantis, where are your tech units? That is the big question. Oh, okay, we're going in front of the power. This is pretty brave. Wait, did he? Okay. He sees the medium tank. And then he powers. Very interested to see where this goes. What? Okay. That was a really, really bad power. It was a bad power. It might be okay. Because I mean, there's so many artillery here. It's only 16k in army value. Like the unit count is ghastly because Jaklyman has lost so many infantry. I mean, it's 15 to 5 in terms of infantry deaths. Okay. It's actually crazy that Jaklyman has only taken 16k more in army damage and lost 15 more units. That's unbelievable, frankly. So I don't think Black Mantis needed to power there. That's the bottom line. I don't think it was necessary. I think you just got the income lead, and you're winning so hard on infantry that I think it's just beneficial to sit on your advantage for a little bit and try to equalize the tech situation. Because you know that there's a Neotank, you know there's a medium tank over here, and we haven't seen any answers revealed for those. Wow, so it looks like Black Mantis had never captured this, although he's going to get it now, though. Okay, so counter turbocharge. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know why Black Mantis expected this to prevent the tech units from engaging the army. This seems like a really bad decision. Now, all of a sudden, now it's looking substantially better than it was a minute ago. The mech. Oh, the Jess mech. It's crazy though, because Black Mantis overextended right into this, the mech actually ends up being pretty good because you want the mechs to kind of cover your artillery. That's when they become valuable. And all the artillery survived. I mean, it's great. It's great because what is this artillery going to do? He's going to stick around to shoot this artillery, and then he's just going to die to the tech units next turn. Okay. So I like this. So now the split push is coming up here because Black Mantis kind of eliminated all the infantry in the center. Like look at the infantry situation here. You know how many infantry the Jess has on this bottom front? It's like the mech is the only full HP infantry left in the entire front. It's wild. There's no infantry left. So there's no way that any of this stuff's going to get contested. So now is the great time to push the infantry advantage on the other front, now that everything is shifted down here. But you know what would have made that better? If there wasn't a turbocharge overextending into this battle the previous turn. Instead, you see the tech units here and you're like, maybe I shouldn't fight this. Maybe I should shift this way with my army and try to go for the comm tower. Because the second this comm tower falls, the game ends. As long as your army is not like totally crippled. Like you fight 2 comm towers to 0 and there's no infantry to counter cap anything. So I think it's a really critical mistake made last turn. It still looks pretty bad for Jaklyman. Being down 8 units. I mean, you're down in income now by a pretty substantial amount. So we're assuming that this was taken, so this is like 2K. This probably is going to get interrupted. So yeah, it's probably 4K, right? Because these two, and then these two. So yeah, 4K is a lot of money if you can just kind of stall the game out. Okay, I don't know what that mech's doing there. Yeah, that tank was a freebie. And having that infantry there to interrupt this cap, that saved the day. Otherwise, it would have been real bad. Yeah, this is good play by Jaklyman. Even though you're down in income, I mean, you have no ability to counter cap anything anyway. And your only potential infantry that can contribute to any fights is here. So it's probably best to just shift this way. But the second you lose this comm tower, the game is over. So you have to shift enough stuff back to make sure that you don't lose that. That's a lot of artillery here. Oh, brother. Where's that copter? He's there. Okay. Another join cap. I mean, but it can't possibly work unless you block these squares because there's 2 tanks. I mean, I guess Black Mantis doesn't know that, but I feel like there's been so many join caps this game that have been really, really speculative. And we haven't seen a single tech unit from Black Mantis, by the way. The Neotank and the medium tank, I mean, they were revealed a couple of turns ago, and all we've seen is copters. I mean, you're Jess, though, so you need some tech units. All right, let's see what the counter is. Yeah, I don't know what the point of the join cap is if you're not going to full commit to this. I almost think it would be better just to abandon this cap and let the game stall out. Because if the game stalls out, it's good for Black Mantis. You've got so much of an income lead. You got 4K. It's actually 5K. It's a 5K income lead. So you got this 5K income lead. As Black Mantis, your job should just be to let the money roll in, end up with higher tech units. You can add air units into your comp if you want to really push that unit count advantage that you've built up. I mean, now, it's 30 to 25, but you joined 3 units. So like, it's wild. The unit count has almost equalized by this point, but the income is now really, really strongly in Black Mantis' favor. So as Black Mantis, you need to understand that the day limit's on your side. It's Jaklyman's problem to figure out how to flip the income on the map. So you're not obligated to like deal the coup de grace. Let Jaklyman figure that out, and if Jaklyman wants to play a slow game, then that income advantage is going to accumulate over time, and it's going to make it better and better for you. So Jaklyman, T-copters, like MVP. Being able to get infantry to the front lines after the just shellacking that the infantry have taken this game is so critical. This mech, though, we'll see what happens with this mech, but I'm feeling pretty vindicated by rolling my eyes at its deployment earlier on. If you're not going to use the mech with the artillery, it doesn't need to exist. Doesn't need to exist. Okay. It's very risky for a copter to be here. There's the Neotank. Okay. All right. Now it makes more sense. But Jaklyman, I mean, you definitely need to put something in this forest. Black Mantis. Okay. Okay. All right, I like this a little bit. But there needs to be something to back this up. And honestly, like this is late. This should have been a while ago. So this is tricky. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So yeah, we're never going to be able to get to the copter this way. We could turbocharge. Neotank clears off the Recon, which is probably in here, and then that lets the medium tank get a hit on the Neotank, which is on the shoal. It might be worth. It's a little scary because you're probably giving up a overcharge as a counterattack, but I don't know. Seems like a pretty decent opportunity. Okay, I guess Jaklyman agrees. Still worth. Even if you see the and knowing the Neotank is here is very, very important. Because you're not really super scared of the Neotank because you have a bazillion artilleries to cover this Neotank. Because all this stuff is overextended. I mean, it's pretty good. It's like, it's the best you can hope for. Yeah, so this is, I mean, this fight did not need to happen. It didn't need to happen. This is overextending for kind of no reason. Like there's no objectives being taken over here. The objectives are being taken down here. So what? Like these Neotanks are showing up on the wrong front, basically. Like the Neotanks should be down here, and then you cap this to force the vehicles to show up, and then you reveal the Neotanks and you smash these guys, and then that opens up this property to be taken, and then you further cement your income lead. Yeah, another reason anti-air are really good. Anti-air can fight tanks when you're Jess. You get the powers, and anti-airs are a really good like second attack unit into a tank. You send the tank or a copter first to kind of soften the tank up, and then the anti-air can still do a pretty substantial amount of damage, especially when there's powers involved. This mech. He's trying. He's trying really hard. But yeah, so this is another reason why the Jess mirrors are so swingy. Now all of a sudden, Black Mantis has taken 40k more in damage than Jaklyman. It is wild. And this Neotank is trapped. This front is in shambles, and you can't attack this. There's 2 artillery. There's just no way you have enough stuff to attack this, even with a supercharge, overcharge, whatever it's called. Overdrive. I just said like all the words and they were all wrong. Anyway, I don't think this can work, but we're gonna see what happens. It's nice artillery positioning here, by the way. Okay. Now you're staring at 2 artilleries, though. What was that at the end? This guy got blocked by the tank there. Wow. I don't know what the plan was there. I don't understand. I don't know. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So this is what they call in the business free dude. Free dude. Okay, well, obviously, so Black Mantis doing well with the tech. The tech advantage now has cleared out Jaklyman's tech, but you also left 2 Neotanks in artillery range. So if we look at like the overall damage, like that just equalized the damage done. And now this is going to be a bloodbath. It's a Neotank bloodbath, especially. All these copters, all the artillery. I mean, this Neotank's not even dead, too. I think both of these Neotanks could die very easily. Maybe even all 3 Neotanks could come close to dying. It's going to be... Just watch this horror show. Okay. The mech got a hit off. Well done. Well done, mech. Better than I expected. So after all that, only 1 Neotank dies, but I mean, the one dies and these guys can't fight. Their purpose as Neotanks is to one-shot tanks. They are not able to do that anymore. And somehow, despite being down like 5k, Jaklyman is starting to flip cities back. And if you look at, I mean, look at this. Now it's back up to 40k in terms of unit value lost in favor of Jaklyman. It just hurts a little bit to watch this because this fight did not need to happen. There was no need to make this fight happen as Black Mantis. And it's just not efficient enough. You lose all your tech units. Medium tanks somehow worked out really well for Jaklyman. Black Mantis is like pumping like Neotanks every single turn. There is a risk of when you pump Neotanks every turn and you don't mix in just like a lot of other vehicles, you sometimes kind of lose the ability to fight sometimes. You just don't have enough stuff. Okay, so there is an wait, was that an artillery? Like in here, I guess? Okay, so I guess he's going to use these Neotanks to finish off this guy. Anyway, you don't necessarily need to spam Neotanks every single turn, even if you've got the money. You do need to balance it out with other stuff that can shoot stuff. If there was more balance of stuff that could shoot stuff, then Black Mantis might have been able to counter push down here and overwhelm with numbers. That being said, Jaklyman can't fight that easily, because he is outnumbered in the Neotank department, although these guys kind of being really far forward, I don't know. Seemed like Black Mantis under-investing in the anti-air department at a critical time. Now unprepared to fight against the copters, of which there are now many. It's a good time for a Neotank, because without a Neotank, you can't fight against the Neotank spam up here. And despite a little bit of throwing happening, Jaklyman has not really managed to flip the city. Maybe it'll happen in a couple turns, but it's going to be a couple turns, and a lot can happen in a couple turns. And it's day 22. Day 35 is the day limit. And Jaklyman's got to get a couple more cities than he's got already in order to make this comeback complete by the day limit. Never feels good when you're using a Neotank as a spotting unit. See, I just don't know. Like, what is the objective here? I guess maybe to defend this city. Yeah, up 6K, by the way. Like, I just feel like you can let this city go and just let the game stall. The longer the game goes on, the better it is for you. Okay, we got an overdrive turn. Here we go. Look at all these Neotanks. Just like every single turn is a Neotank for Black Mantis. And I hope this illustrates the dangers of spamming Neotanks this hard. Like, how many Neotanks have we seen? So, lost, there's 2 Neotanks were lost already, and there's 3 more. So, Black Mantis has built 5 Neotanks this game. 5 Neotanks is a lot of Neotanks. But the problem now is Jaklyman can just play, like, this is within Jaklyman's territory. There's not enough units that shoot stuff to wipe all this out and then also clear out the artillery. But if there was maybe like 1 or 2 less Neotanks and instead 6 more tanks, well, then maybe the situation would be a lot different. There's an infantry that popped through there. I don't know why these infantry need to be here. I'm not sure what they're accomplishing. Maybe he doesn't have any vision. Like, that turn was actually pretty good for Black Mantis. Denied this capture, so now it's 6k every single turn. Black Mantis should be building copters every turn. Every turn. Build copters. And then you just need tanks. Copter, tank, tank, tank. I think Black Mantis has enough money to do copter, tank, 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 like every single turn. But you can see, like, the sheer volume of crappy units compared to these Neos is just taken over. And now all of a sudden the KD is flipped. I think the low point of this map is like 15 units in favor of Black Mantis. Now it's going to get even worse, right? These medium tanks, I cannot believe how effective the medium tanks have been in this game. Incredible stuff. How many times have we seen a medium tank first strike a Neo? All right, Black Mantis going for the turbocharge. Starting to look pretty bad. Like, where are your units, dude? I wonder how many turns in a row the Neotanks have been deployed. Yeah, like you bring a copter, but like the time for retreating from this battle was before the battle started. I said it at the time. I'll say it again. I mean, this is just like you're just slowly, everything's slowly dying up there. Still like 40k difference in army value taken. And that's actually crazy because Black Mantis has had so much of an income lead that 40k is actually a surmountable deficit to, like, you can afford to be that inefficient with how much of an income lead Black Mantis has had. But now, like, there's no way that Black Mantis can hold this city. This city is lost. I just think it would have been so much easier for Black Mantis. You draw a line like here. Right? You draw a line and you put everything along this line. You put an artillery here. And then you set up everything here. You give up this city, that's fine. You can give up that city. That city is not, that doesn't belong to you anyway. You sit there up 4k and you make Jaklyman do something about it. And it's gonna be very hard for that to actually happen. And you can just kind of sit there until day limit if you have to, and you win. Now, there's so few supporting units for this Neotank, he's going to get walled in. And then the artillery are going to chip him down. It's crazy. Now, Now things are starting to flip. Like Black Mantis, it's very obvious that Black Mantis cannot fight over here anymore, and so all these properties are going to get eaten now. And now it's real bad. This seems like a desperation turbocharge. Another Neotank. Another one. That was a pretty good turn, though, compared to the past couple of turns. This is better than we've seen for a while. Yeah, only down 35k now. Got no vision. This is desperation. It's free dude, like. There's not enough supporting units left. If this mech gets a shot off on this, well, I think the mech's gonna go into the infantry on the city, but this mech, I guess it was the long game, playing the long game with the mech. Finally now, like 15 days later, gonna get that mech value. Why not? More Neotanks. This is actually crazy. Like, it's. I mean, the anti-air is going to get a lot of value, but that fight was not horrible compared to the previous couple of turns. Oh, another turbocharge, and oh, that hurts. Oh. 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 Oh, it hurts. Like, just that engagement, now it's 100k. it was a 40k difference, now it's 100k. The mech. The mech, super valuable. The best Jess mech in history. Not even saying that because the mech was effective. There's just the bar's so low. Wow, what a game. I think there's a lot of important things to learn from this game. Let's turn the lights on. Let's go back a little bit and let's start skipping ahead to where Black Mantis takes the lead. So, like right here, where was the turn where everything went crazy? It was this turn, yeah. So this turn, this CO power turn, this should have been game winning. Should have been game winning position from here. You're up a huge amount of infantry. Even after this, yeah, so like this tank, you can shift these guys kind of down here to eat the rest of the contested properties bottom right. You're kind of able to push everywhere at the same time. But then this turn is when the trouble started. Needlessly extending into a ton of artillery without the ability to do anything about it. And then also giving the tech units a lot of value. And then from there, now everything equalized after this turn. So like this day 17, there's no need to engage this. You don't actually need to engage this. You can remove this recon for free, and then, I mean, anything you want to do, like it's so good to just disengage. You take the city, you're up 3k, everything's really great. But you just got too crazy. Yeah. And even then, like, so now you're at 5k, like it's still not a horrible situation, but now, like, this is the time to slow the game down. Like, this is, I like the play of trying to get the comm tower. It's a good idea. But after it doesn't work, this is time to give up on this play. You finish off the infantry, you get rid of him, you give up on the comm tower play, and you say, okay, draw the line here. I'm going to defend my properties. It's your problem to figure out how you're going to attack into me. And every turn you don't, I'm getting 5k more income than you. And if my army sits in one place, then I'm going to win the fight. Although the army value, I mean, it's not great, but let's look at the deploys, right? That's pretty important. So we got 2 Neotanks here. This is a good deploy turn. And this is a good deploy turn. And then it's Neotank, Neotank. All right, there's some copters. Copters, Neotank, Neotank. A lot of Neotanks. So I think the combination of the overextension, not taking advantage of the income, and then trying to play aggressively, like into this corner, like this, like this just didn't need to happen. The whole army is really spread apart. There's no need to go in there. No need to go in there. Anyway, I think we've reached the end of this one. Still a really well played game by Jaklyman. I think did everything that he needed to do to win, and was able to take advantage of the mistakes of his opponent after getting kind of shellacked in that early engagement. Really made it work. T-copter MVP of the game, honestly. It was built pretty early, and it ended up being so vital to ferry the infantry over the sea tiles in the center. So it wouldn't have been possible without that T-copter really early in the game. But yeah, and from this, like, Jaklyman went on to win a number of matches and is currently in the semifinals now. So none of that would have been possible without this pretty wild game. And I remember back when this game happened, actually, Jaklyman sent this replay to me, and it was like, hey, check this replay out. I think it was a pretty crazy game. And I just kind of looked at the messages like, one, like, who is this guy? And two, like, yeah, okay, crazy replay, whatever. And I looked at it, and I was like, okay, what? This game is actually nuts. So thank you to Jaklyman for sending this to me way a long time ago. It was like months ago, many months ago. I think it was last year even. And I finally got around to doing a recap of it. So anyway, that's going to do it for me. Hope you've enjoyed this recap of a game that I wasn't involved in. And we'll see you in upcoming videos for sure. Until then, have a good night. We'll see you next time.